marketing ops needs to know this, sales ops needs to know this. No, now everybody needs to know this. Era of hyper personalization. We've been hearing this word a lot, but I think now is the time when we will actually see it immensely.
Recording. Hi Shubhangi, thank you so much for joining on to the ProBlog podcast. I am Tarun, and yes, like I mentioned, we have a very great guest with us today, Shubhangi. Shubhangi, you have over 16 years of cross-industry experience, right? You have been leading marketing at HCL, at Good Workers, Soroco in the past. So why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Let them know about your experience, let them know about what you do, and then we can talk more about what we are here to discuss today, which is the future of AI in marketing.
Thank you. Thank you, Tarun. Hi, everyone. I am Shubhangi Mehta. I head the brand for HCL Software currently. I have, like Tarun mentioned, I have 16 plus years of experience across industry where I have had my own agency. I have worked for brands. I have worked for consultancies. So across spectrum, across industries, marketing and communications has always been exciting for me. So despite the fact that I am a law graduate and I was registered with the Bar Council, I moved into the marketing side of things. And I am very happy to be here today.
That's great. That's great. So, yeah, I mean, we have a lot to unpack over here today. I would not want to take too much of your time, but obviously, from your background, there's the very first question that I want to ask. What persuaded your shift into marketing?
Like almost everybody you'd speak with, I would say that I had this creative side to myself. At least I chose to believe that. And when I studied law and I got my placement, the first placement that I had, it was very like contract drafting, document reviews, and it was quite boring for what I wanted to do. And I had also done my PG from Nalsar, which was in media law. So I kind of had a fair understanding of copyright, broadcast, all of those kind of things. And I always wanted to write. I used to love writing. So it was the content side of things that I started with. And I would do these small internships or project works with these agencies, with publications when I was in Bombay. So it just always excited me. And I think it was a very natural movement. I did not plan anything. So from content side of things to back in 2011, 12, when digital was still coming up and people were just still talking about it, I got into digital, the SEO side of things, social media. So content clubbed with those capabilities, it just led me to start my own agency. I got some clients, and yeah, it just
Been a
happened.
roller coaster of a journey.
Sort of, yes.
Oh, that's lovely. So since you have been in the space, I would say like the pre-AI era, right, and the post-AI era, like now things have been changing a lot, right? So, and I mean, I think this is a very overarching question, but how do you think AI is shaping the future of marketing as we call it, right? And again, how do you think it's going to affect the customer experience as a whole?
So I think, firstly, I wouldn't say like a pre-AI and post-AI kind of an era, because if you even think about the digitization of things, it is in a way AI. It's not the large language models or the small language models, but if
Yes,
you
yes,
think about
definitely.
the whole piece of SEO and the search engines and the optimization or the social media, the organic work that you were doing, if you think about it, it's all tech.
It was tech. Yes, agreed. Yeah.
So it's become a lot more sophisticated recently. It's become a lot more intelligent, and that's why it's AI.
Yes.
It was always there. And I think marketing is the first to experiment with anything new, to try anything new.
Yes.
So of course, it's going to take over. And also marketing, like when you talk about sales, right? Sales is always sitting with the customer, talking to the customer, meeting with the customer. It's very recent that marketing has started to do it. We were supposed to sit on our machine and reach out to a customer and create opportunities for sales. That's our job. You haven't spoken to the customer ever. Let's talk about a marketer 10 years back. You haven't really spoken to your customer. You have to run digital ads for them, whether it's on social media, whether it's on Google, LinkedIn, anything, right? Um, AI is giving you, it's empowering you with all the insights that you have always needed without really even now meeting with the customers. Because the maximum marketing would do is focus groups. In focus groups, you'll have like about 10, 15, 20 customers, 100 maybe, if you do a research report or something. Or you'd work with a research company that will do the qualitative, quantitative analysis with you. But you wouldn't meet a customer that easily over drinks or over dinner, and they wouldn't give insights about their personality to you. But now AI is actually giving everything. Your customer likes to read Forbes. At 10 in the morning, they are actually having their coffee and they're reading this. They visit the opera, or all such things. It is giving you a deeper persona analysis than you could have ever had. So that's the first thing, right? Marketing is not just about brand building anymore. It is about the pipeline as well. And now brand and pipeline go hand in hand. So it's the research that you would do, the content that you would write, the designs that you would create. Like, you don't need to be particularly a specialist now to be a marketer. You can really now be super successful in marketing if you are a generalist more than a specialist. So that's helped. Life's gotten easy. We don't have to spend months in research anymore. All of that research can be done literally in 2 days, what you were spending 2 months, 3 months on. You name it, and AI is helping there, right? It is on us to use it judiciously, but it's really, really helped.
I think you used the word empowering, right? It's empowering marketers, and I think that's again a long-going debate back and forth, whether that's empowering the senior folks, but rather replacing the junior folks, right? And I think you also slightly answered it as well. It's empowering actually the generalist, helping them become a specialist in whichever field they need. But how do you think this debate also comes in, right? And again, I know it's a slight tangent, but empowering versus replacing and specialist versus generalist, right? How do you think that debate goes as far as when we look into the marketing side of things?
See, the thing is, whenever a new technology comes, if you look at industrial revolution, right, it just felt, and when you read about it, that everybody is going to lose their jobs, right? But people, maybe at that point in time, they did. But what it actually did was it created way more jobs than you had ever expected.
Right?
Now look at this. I mean, if you chose to be somebody who's doing just sitting in the corner and designing infographics for the past 15 years, will AI impact your job? Maybe yes. But if you are somebody who's ready to learn, grow, excited, talking to different people, that's why I brought in the generalist subject. You cannot just have one capability and expect it to not be replaced. If not AI, some other person who will charge a cheaper salary will replace you still.
Will replace you. That's
Right?
exactly right.
Let's think of it like that. Will AI take away some of the specialist jobs? It will, maybe. But what it will also do is, like, I can't replace my content writer with AI. Reason being, I cannot have similar content across, because AI will, a lot of publications are flagging AI content, right? But I need some. So I need somebody who can assess all of those. If I'm a senior leader, what kind of people do I want in my team now? I want people who understand these tools, who understand how AI works, train AI for our own leverage. Like I said, customer research that was taking 2 months would now be done in like about a week. Can this person do that, right? You need to know better technology now. I think you cannot shy away from technology anymore. That is 100%. A lot of people, a lot of roles initially thought, I don't need technology in my role. If you were a senior leader, I don't need to understand technology so much. That's not the case anymore. the sales, I would not name any product, but the sales automation products, the martech products, there were specific teams and they're like, oh, marketing ops needs to know this, sales ops needs to know this. No, now everybody needs to know this. It's very easy also. It's just made, the consumption of technology is very, very easy. So how do you consume it? How do you use it? How do you make it empower you? That has never been taught to anybody. That can never be taught. It is on us to choose and to decide the longevity of our career spans now on how we use this technology better. One challenge is we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. Like there are talks, I go to these conferences where there are talks that AI can become your CEO one day, right? Now, if that happens, I don't know how things will change. But as of now, what we're seeing, smarter AI is making us smarter. I can sit here and know what a person who is probably a small scale real estate agent sitting in Poland is thinking, what are his likes, what are his dislikes? Just imagine the power I have to sell today. So, as of today, use it to your advantage. None of us know. We can predict what will happen, but none of us know what will happen tomorrow. But equip yourself well, is what I'll say.
I guess that's true, right? And I mean, yeah, that's the prediction and assumption game, as we call it. There are always two sides to the coin. People are scared that it will replace jobs, but at the same time, I am mostly bullish on how many new jobs and opportunities it's making. And I think that also, like, it's a very good segue to the other section that we have, right? Which is how do you, as a person, adopt AI, and how do companies adopt people like you who know AI, right? All right. Let's say if a company would want to start using AI for personalization across their customer journey, right? Right. What kind of people they should be looking at, and what kind of tools they should be looking at, right? I mean, that's the first idea. That's what everyone wants to know today.
Yeah. Uh, People, of course, like I said, people who are not averse to the use of technology, that's all that you need. You should just be ready to learn more. I think anybody and everybody can learn all of these aspects today. I mean, I am a lawyer by qualification. I moved into marketing. I'm learning all of this. And I think everybody can do that. I have people in my team, young kids, 25, 26, and I think they're the sharpest when it comes to using technology and AI. The tools. So there are these new tools that are coming up. Of course, we've all been using the sales ops tools, the MarTech tools, and all of those, but we see a lot of product companies coming up with these new tools which are giving you complete insights into your, so what they're doing is they are automating your SEO to your content on the basis of the heat maps, the customer persona, all in one. And it is surprising. So I've just had a demo of some of these products. I wouldn't name any, but they're not there yet. But I feel in the next 1 or 2 years they will be, because they just need to be fed data. But
Oh, yes.
end to end, you know how people always talk that sales and marketing always goes hand in hand. I think this is the time that it will happen, because what sales needs is, your top 100 accounts, let's say, for example, with the
Yes.
heat map, where are they in their journey using your products or your services? How can you sell to them? The AI is also prompting you, what do you say that elevates your pitch? When do they need your product in their journey? Currently, they're very settled. Their contract with their previous product is coming to an end. This is when you start pitching. It is insane. So, and it's beautiful, right? It's a wonderful time to be at, because the amount you learn every day is unbelievable. And this is exactly where that conflict or that issue that happens between sales and marketing, your leads are not good enough, or your leads are not qualified enough, or this is not what I need at this point in time, is going to become one. I feel that in the long run, the sales enablement tools, and the martech tools are all going to kind of align, and both the teams can actually use them together, and this will also have the flavor of SEO, content, research, everything that you need.
I do agree with you on this because, I mean, even in our current organization, right, when I joined it, we had this discussion that we don't need two separate teams for sales and marketing, right? We became collectively one team, which is demand and revenue generation, right? We just call it as that, right? R&D, we call us revenue and demand generation, and we specifically focus on that because the people who are interacting with the clients should not, and like the person who is creating the content for these clients should not be two different entities. They should be the same people. They need the same context, right? And as we are moving towards leaner and leaner teams, I think that's where we'll be going as well, right? But I mean, yeah, that's actually really great. You talked also about data for these products, right? The more data we feed them, the more better they are going to get. And I think that also leads a question towards right to your own data and right to data privacy, right? I know it's slightly once again a tangent, but what are your thoughts about the mere fact that most of these tools that are being built are not being built for companies using their own data, but rather data that is publicly or viably available. So these data sets contains a lot of biases that won't generally help an organization to move forward along. And like I mean, I'll give you a very simple example, right? We worked with a recent client, and it was a voice analytics tool, right? So it was about understanding how the customer experience is being impacted over calls. We had two options, obviously, like there are a lot of call data sets available. We can train the model on that, but at the same time, we had a simpler option of only training the model on the company's data that they had given us, right? The second option, while being less accurate, gave us far better results when it comes to understanding the brand a lot better, right? And that is the kind of, I would say, approach that we generally take. A model built for a company needs to be built on their own data. But when you're talking about solutions, these solutions are built on publicly available data, and that generally does not have the right, I would say, piracy enablement and like data security and all that. So, what are your thoughts about that? Like, do you think models should be created on this data of everyone, or should they be only created using data, or rather trained, not created, trained using data that are built for a solution?
So I think it has to be a mix of both. And
Okay.
I'll also take a step back first on identifying what data is relevant for you. I think right now there is so much data. Everything is data. Everything is data, right? What we are creating is data again. But
Yes.
what data that I need to use for the outcome that I need? Are we jumping on the bandwagon of everybody's doing data, everybody's doing AI, let me just do it? Or we know why we want to do this. This is a specific reason. This is my, and a lot of companies actually lack that, right? This is my business objective for 1 year. I'm not going behind the buzzwords, but this is my business objective. This is what I want to achieve. And then I need my data to be now assessed or churned or understood for me to be able to achieve these three things. That's one, that's my internal data. External data, I think there has to be better governance, better
Yes.
bylaws. It is very, very, very important, and that's where the government will come in. And those governances, I know there are bills that are being passed. We're hearing about those things. I think we need better governance. We, as individuals and companies, can be ethical. So, as a group, we all need better governance for sure, but it cannot be one or the other. It has to be both. It has to be a mix of both the internal data as
Yes,
well
that's
as the
actually a good
external
take.
that you use.
I think I've been recently looking at AI, um, I would say governance, right, as a whole, and the kind of rules and regulations that we are building for these bodies, and how to make a, I would say, not just a product, but any company viable enough to be used by any enterprise, right? And yeah, I think ethical use of AI definitely a good topic that we should definitely talk more about. But I think the next question that I mean, before we go off another tangent, would be some of the overall actionable insights for today's leaders, right? I mean, before we go off to the next topic, what are your actionable insights for today's leaders? You have talked already about what they need to be doing, things that they need to be open about. But when we talk about just the common pitfalls, what are some things that they are doing wrong today? What are something the industry leaders are doing wrong today when it comes to AI adoption? And how do you think we can mitigate that point?
So I wouldn't say that what the industry leaders are doing wrong. I don't think anybody's doing wrong, because when you're doing wrong, then it's an intentional thing. But the point is that
Exactly, yeah.
we don't need to just run behind the buzzwords, right? I mean, when this whole AI thing came up, I think 2 years back, when ChatGPT became a big thing, 1.5, 2 years back, roughly 2 years back, uh, GPT technology was on and it was going on for the longest time, but the whole chat GPT kind of changed the game. And suddenly every product company started adding the word AI in front of them. That's it. That's the change that they made. They've made no other change. The product was the same. They were selling the same thing. And suddenly, I think people purchasing those products as well, and I'm talking about the enterprise software products, the people purchasing products as well kind of just started to go behind the companies which had AI in their name or were saying we are selling AI, but how are you learning it better? Do you understand what and how much of AI do you need in your organization as of now for any changes that you need, right? So the first thing that I mentioned in my previous response as well is identifying what you need to achieve for your business. That's the first thing. Do you know where you want to go, whether it's 1 year, 2 year, or 5 years? And then doing everything in line with that and not just going behind the buzzwords that are there. Data, 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 AI, 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 but how data and how AI. And I think everybody's intrigued. So I have been in some boot camps for certain officials, for certain companies, which are AI boot camps. It's so funny because these are senior leaders, and some of them are actually asking, the only question they had was, can you teach me how can I make a presentation on ChatGPT? Can you teach me how I can convert my Excel sheet into a presentation on ChatGPT? The fact that, and I'm taking a brand name, ChatGPT is a brand name, but the fact is it's the most well known right now, and most people talk about it when they talk about large language models. But these are the people who should understand governance, who should understand placing your data on a third party large language model. These are the people who should think of the big picture, how I can use this AI, put it in my own system, whether it's on-premise, cloud, whatever, and use it for the benefit. But there are very short-term goals. People are more excited. And how are they more excited and why are they more excited? What I learned was they have children who are teenagers right now who are doing it in their school and college, and they're like, oh, Papa, you don't know how to do this. Mama, you don't know how to do this. And they're like, ye sikha do. So, I think that's the excitement, one. And at a company level, I think it is very, very important to get a trusted resource that helps you assess where you need to place AI, where you need to place data, what do you need to do with it to identify and achieve your business outcomes. That's the big picture. I think we all need to look at the big picture. That's the only thing that I feel could be missing.
That's interesting. This is actually really great. I mean, for all the industry leaders watching or reading this blog, rather, they would get a lot of insights. But let's now shift the gears towards the next generation of these leaders, right? The teenagers, as you said, right? The knowledge-hungry folks who are really looking to just be at your position in the next 5 years, right? Let's talk about them, right? So, what do you think are the emerging skill sets of these people, right? How do you think we can identify like, hey, this person has the right hunger for knowledge today?
Yeah. I think being proactive has always been very, very important. It's all the more important now. Somebody who understands the value of technology, somebody who can make the technology work for themselves and come up with ways to use it even better, not go by the book. Like, let's accept it, right? 10 years back, there were only so many things you could do. There were only so many things. You just had to write the best content. You just had to have the best design. And that's it. That was good enough to break the clutter. That's all. A good copy for a Zomato would make it stand out on a billboard. It won't be the same. You could be the best copywriter, but how can you create an engagement cycle, an end-to-end engagement cycle of that copy? Can you do that rather than just writing the copy? That would uplift your own personal brand as well within the system. A designer cannot be a designer, just a designer anymore, right? That whole definition of a creative director is somebody who can understand, understand the pain point, deliver an idea, execute on the idea, and then also create that consumption channel now. also have to create a consumption channel. The whole division between brand and demand generation will start to fade. It cannot be one or the other, is what I feel. It has to be both. We're already seeing it in the market. Every touch point you have for demand generation is also amplifying your brands, right? So if you say I'm at an analyst, I've been featured in an analyst report, that is amplifying your brand. I have a media story. That's an air cover for a customer you've spoken to. They have read your name here. So those 20 touch points that you've created are a mix of brand and demand generation. So somebody who understands this end-to-end thing, you cannot just be a demand generation person, a social media person, or a writer. You have understand the entire skill set. And I'm not saying you need to be able to sit and design, or you need to be sit and able to create a Google ad. That's exactly what AI is going to do for you. But you need to understand, you need to be somebody who can look at the big picture. I think if you can do that and then create a strategy and execution plan around it and go ahead and do it, that's what's needed. I will definitely, when I hire, that's the kind of talent I look for, the people who understand the big picture, not one or two problems that need to be solved today. Of course, we need that as well. But yeah, the big picture is very, very important, end to end.
Okay, so one thing that you clearly talked about is understanding distribution, right? Having that key, I would say, the core knowledge about distribution. And I think that is true for both, like, demand generation, branding, and like how telling is coming to a good, right? But at the same time, you also talked about how you would want people to be more of a generalist, right? In the sense that they need to have a lot more skill sets. So is now the time that we are going towards the phase that, hey, a jack of all trades and a master of none is still a way better person than a master of one? Are we finally completing the proverb in the industry, or like how is that going?
See, I can speak from my point of view. I have always thought of that as the correct way of doing things. And there's certain skill sets where you need specialists. But look at AI. AI is taking over specialists. AI is taking over specialization, not specialists, sorry, specialization. Anything that's a specialization, because it's so easy to train AI on that, right? I mean, how Tarun thinks of a problem statement given to Tarun and how Shubhangi thinks of a problem statement given to Shubhangi, that's exactly what AI cannot do right now. But what it can do is, if Shubhangi is a writer, Shubhangi can just put like 4 of her blogs and AI is going to just write like that. So specialization is being taken over. That's what we can see today. And that's why I feel a generalist, not just being a generalist as a project manager, but a generalist who understands things at a deeper level as well, will become successful. And it's not just with AI, right? I feel it's also the nature of how businesses work. A CEO probably doesn't know how to do 10 things, but he knows how to get it done. And that's the kind of person you need. And somebody who understands technology well, who understands the power of technology well. Assessing tools will become such an important function, right, of a leader. Very, very soon, it already is. How do you decide which tool do I go ahead with? Those kind of understandings, that's the kind of specialization you will need, perhaps. But yeah.
I think that's really true. I mean, one of the things that I ask folks in my team as a weekly target is how many things have they learned today about the world, right? What is something new that happened this week that actually excited you? We have one channel where everyone just keeps posting, like, that, hey, this is what I learned. And I think because of that, we have came across so many solutions for our problems that is just mind-boggling, right? So when you talk about distribution, I also talk about consumption.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for someone who's consuming a lot of knowledge on a daily basis, whether it's to upscale or just to know about the industry. I mean, I don't really need my content writer to know about how and the what's of, like, how a neural network works, but it's good to have.
Yeah.
I think that is really good to have, right? And I think one of the last questions for this specific topic before we move on to the next one would be, how can this be achieved? What I was just talking about, right? How do you think people can consume the right content? Because I think that's also like a big mess right now. And getting the right kind of people, the right kind of communities, the right kind of mentors is a mess, right? Uh, I mean, we all remember the whole fiasco that happened when Gemini tried to embed Reddit into its search engine, right? And got us some really good results, including a banana that was not radioactive. But again, uh, getting the right information is hard for today's youth, right? They don't know where the next generation of tools are coming, right? I mean, obviously, there are a couple of Instagram pages, there are a couple of Reddit communities, but as a person who does not have access to all of this right today, as a person with a clean slate, what would you recommend them?
I think this is exactly where the database, what kind of data is important. So it's on both, right? As a consumer, I'll only consume what's available for me. But as a distributor, I need to know what I'm distributing and where am I distributing. Uh, that is the power that will stay in the hands of a distributor. And right now, the market is so chaotic that there will be some chaos around it. Uh, let's run an ad. But is your ad worthy of not being skipped? That's the biggest thing. I think today, I went for one of these biggest tech events in the country very recently, and I saw a brand that run an ad there, which was made out of AI, which made through AI. And the selling point was that ad is made out of AI. Nobody spoke about the content. Nobody spoke about the brand placement. Nobody spoke about those things. So again, brands need to understand my ad being created completely out and out by AI is a buzzword right now. It has to be consumable in the long run. Can you think like that as a distributor? Can I have an ad that still resonates? And the finest example, and I'll not talk about ads or anything, I'll talk about the show Adolescence, which is becoming such a huge thing on Netflix right now. Because that content is contextual. It's not talking about any of the buzzword, any of the recent things, nothing. It's taken something so simple in life of just ensure everything is monitored in such a subtle way, but that's good content. Let's always remember the power of good content. That is on the distributor, whether you're doing it through AI, whether you're doing it yourself, no matter who's doing it. If your content is good, it is there to stay. Nobody has the power to take over that. Now, as a consumer is flooded, including you and I. We are flooded with all of this content, right? With all of this data. What do I want to do? That clarity, I think while 10 years back, it was easier to get that clarity. Okay, I want to get into marketing. It's much tougher now because everybody's trying to say everything is the best, whatever tool you go for, whatever and there are like about, for one problem, there are about hundreds of solutions. So do your research well. This is exactly what you use AI for. Have your
Yes.
searches, plan your own SEO yourself. This is what I'm more interested in. Like Spotify always gives me a good playlist now because it's figured out what I like to hear.
Oh, yeah.
So
Set your
don't.
algorithm right. I think that's the keyword here. Set your
Yeah,
algorithm right, whether it's on Reddit, on Insta, on
100%.
your
That's the
Google,
only
wherever it
way.
is.
That's the only way today.
Okay, no, I mean that's that's actually great advice, and yeah, I mean that's also a very great segue to the next part, right? One problem has 100 solutions, and I think always the last person to adopt solutions in this case has been biggest of the biggest enterprises, right? Enterprises are generally very careful about first, okay, let the buzz die, and then we'll think about, okay, is it good enough or not? Okay, once let the whole infrastructure settle down, and then we'll think about is it worth it or not. Once let the token price come down, and then we'll think about implementing it. So when we talk about AI powered solutions for enterprises, right? I mean, the very first question is, why do you think enterprises always take a step back when it's about implementing these external solutions? That's one. But the second part is, why are the enterprises, the people who are also creating these solutions, also enterprises, right? When we talk about IBM, IBM Watson has done such a great job for multiple industries, right? But a lot of, I would say, enterprises similar to that stature are not implementing those solutions. And why do you think that's the case today?
I think a lot of times enterprises do have There could be various reasons actually. One of them has to be the compliance issue, has to be the whole external tool coming into your system, the kind of data you're sharing, all of that. So compliance, I think, plays a big role. The larger the enterprise, the bigger the compliance piece is, and
Okay.
that's it's always important to have that partner, a consultancy, or somebody who can help you implement the right tools. Um, the second could be your business priorities and budget allocations.
Mhm.
And that's just my understanding of being working in enterprise sector as well. Um, the need of the hour do so a lot of times the budgets go into your internal R&Ds as well, your internal teams as well. So but that's a very small part. I think when you definitely need a product, you definitely need a service, you do go ahead and you get it. I think the biggest chunk of it is compliance, because a lot of these things, we don't have the kind of governance unlike Europe, unlike some of the established mature markets where the GDPR, where the compliances are extremely strong. So the adoption is more. US consumes all of these tools and solutions
Mhm.
really well, right?
Oh,
So it's a
yes,
matter
yes.
of habit as well. Um, in the growth markets, people are really used to the whole manual work. So even the digitization and adoption of new technology will be slower. It's about the habit as well. So compliance and habit, I think both. But because you spoke specifically about larger enterprises, I think compliance could be one of the most important reasons.
Okay, that's true. And also one more thing that I have noticed is, I mean, I'll just talk about it like out loud, but it's called the shipment velocity, right? Or just the real speed of innovation.
Yep.
So when enterprise, when we're talking about enterprises, there is a general debate that happens, right? Whether we outsource the entire thing and get it done, or whether we build it in-house and spend like, the extra 3, 4 years. And most of the companies I'm the enterprises that I've worked with personally also like to do things in-house, even if it takes slower, if it takes more money, and even if it's less viable,
Yeah.
but now I'm seeing a shift, specifically in Indian enterprises, where they are now finally looking to outsource it just for the sheer reason of shipment velocity. And what are your thoughts on that topic?
That's actually a very important point. And the whole culture of tech companies and tech startups,
Mhm.
especially post COVID, because during COVID, people hired, right? They hired like
Okay.
insane. There were these campaigns only to hire employees from every company that you could think of. The leaner teams concept uh, has made the companies feel there's more agility, there's quickness, right? You can't just fire a complete team, but if you don't need a specific tool or a service, then your contract ends, and then that relationship also ends. So you don't have those kind of. So there's so much, right? Your time, your effort, your money, all of that is saved. When you go to an investor, it's a cheaper internal structure, because and I would talk more about the MSME and SMEs here, because they are the ones who go to investors more, large enterprises not so much. But when it comes to funding and the whole investor piece, the leaner you are, the more cost optimized you are. It works
Yes.
very well. So getting an external party and a vendor, and also the capability and the capability of a vendor has
The
also become
expertise. Yeah.
much better than it used to be at one point in time.
Yes.
So that also builds trust. So both of these, I think, aspects kind of, is the shift is 100% happening.
Yes, and I mean one more thing that I think you also covered, but I just want to reiterate specifically for enterprises that I think enterprises are mature enough to not run after buzzwords enough. So they don't care if their solution says AI on the top domain or not. So I think that's
Yes.
also one of the bigger reasons where I think they have taken a back seat. They're like, okay, let the chaos settle down, and we'll still work on it as your 3 points, right? Whether to do it in-house or outsource. Most people are outsourcing now. Finally, the compliance issue, right? Making sure that it's compliant and not having that FOMO. I mean, yeah, I think it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, we're already at the 40 minutes mark. I'll just wrap it up in the next 10. But Shubhangi, let's do a quick rapid fire. And at the same time, I just want to know from you, what are your thoughts about the next 5 years? Because this used to be an easier question, I feel, earlier, right? When I used to ask them, where do you think industry will be in the next 5 years? And they'll probably say meta ads will get better. We are not there yet, but I mean, we are somewhere. Uh, but now, when I look at the advancements that are happening in this space, right, when we talk about the new MCP protocols being released, or we just talk about how agentic AI is actually useful now, it's a scary but yet exciting space, right? I see it as okay, there's so many things happening that now what we'll have is called abundance of time while also having abundance of knowledge, right? The scary part is that we as humans have been really bad at knowing what to do with it. So I want to ask from you, right? Where do you think we are headed in the next 5 to 10 years? What do you think will be the next stage? Like, now we have abundance of knowledge. What will be the abundance of next in the next five
In the
years?
era of hyper personalization, we've been hearing this word a lot, but I think now is the time when we will actually see it immensely. Maybe in a way, we're going back to that era of when you'd get handwritten letters with your name on it and you just feel very, very happy that this is exclusively for me. I think that's what brands can actually do with whole AI advent, agentic, everything. Like, look at
Okay.
your chatbots will not be chatbots anymore, right? They'll be smarter and better with the humans that would sit in a call center at one point in time. But these chatbots will actually make you feel important and special. And that's the kind of brands that are going to win the game of the whole branding. Because how you can use hyper personalization to your advantage and how you can use it the best in the industry is what's going to work. If you see the way B2B works, right? B2B marketing was always plain bland. It was very simple. There were five things you had to do and done. It's not like that anymore. So whether it's B2B, whether it's B2B2C, whether it's B2B2C, whatever it is D2C, all of that will revolve around hyper personalization, I feel, and the and how special you make your customer feel.
Okay, that's interesting. Small tangent over here when you say about feeling special, right? And I think this is something that we recently discussed with the founder of Samaj AI also, is how to make people feel special when they know that it is AI, right? And it's a back and forth conversation, but AI, with the way that it has been used in the initial phases, has made customer slightly repugnant to it. Earlier, when you used to send a mail, write a very good handwritten mail stating about their problem statement, they used to think that, hey, yes, this person actually gave a thought or two about you. Now they say that, oh, this person is probably using some better tool than me, right? The things has changed, right? And so when I think about making the customer feel special, I actually go back and I make the humanization the premium of it, right? Where the handwritten written letters, right? Like if today morning, like tomorrow morning in office, you would receive an actual handwritten letter from a company, like stating that, hey, you have done so good work, would love to
Yep.
collaborate with you. You would know that that will make you feel special, right? Rather than any other LinkedIn mail that will come on your,
Correct.
and yeah, I mean that's where like I think I feel where I don't think AI is yet capable of making people feel special. And you are also right that maybe in the next 5 years, that's where we are heading.
Correct. So if you think about it, you will actually get a handwritten note, which will be AI, but it'll be a handwritten note which tells you that your Diwali gift this time is a box of the chocolates that you like.
Hmm.
Not so. What I'm That's exactly what I'm saying, right? Use it to your advantage. Now, in 5 years, everybody will know everything is AI. How do you actually use that AI the best possible way? Maybe I will not give the laddu ka dabba to everybody, but I'll give something which is very personalized to them. And now it will not be a tough task for HR to do it because they don't have to search about everybody's likes and dislikes. They already know it through AI. And the purchaser, the vendor, everything is AI. I'm giving you an example of this
Yeah.
is possible, right? In the next 5 years, you don't have your touch points are removed, but the personalization level is immense. It
Like,
wouldn't have been possible manually. So how do you make it as your strength will be the case?
I think that's definitely the right way to end this. And I mean, yeah, thank you so much, Shubhangi. This has been a great session. I'll be honest, I have like figured like I've filled like 3 pages of my notebook over here. But this has been a lovely podcast. And yeah, I mean, like, thank you so much for giving your time, giving your expertise to all the listeners over here and all the readers. But yeah, before we sign off, can you share just one key action that the industry leaders in marketing can do in the next 30 days to move that one step closer to hyper personalization, like you said,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I don't know if it's 30 days or 60 days or 120 days, but look at the big picture. Take a step back and see how you can use AI to your advantage. We are on the cusp of a breakthrough. We're at the best place right now. Things will change in 5 years. We could be the decision makers. We have to ensure it's ethical what we do. And we have to ensure that we're thinking long term, we're thinking the right things. So maybe take a deep breath, take a step back, and then reevaluate things if needed. Just don't run behind the buzz.
That's great. And what would be one long-term vision and insight that we should just keep on my board, like, on my pegboard in front of my desk every day and just look at it that, hey, this is what we should do.
The only long term statement that I would make is everything can change. Just be ready for that. So
Be open to change. Yeah, I mean, that's great.
it can change. So everything can change. Be prepared for that.
Okay, that's lovely, Shubhangi. And yeah, thank you so much for this invaluable insight. Sorry, thank you so much for these invaluable insights. I really love chatting with you, Shubhangi. This has been a really great session both for me and hopefully for my readers as well. Would love to do more of this in the future. Um, like you said, whenever we share it, Akanksha will obviously let you know. And yes, is there anything specific that maybe a topic that you wanted to talk about I did not cover? Something like that.
I think we pretty much covered everything. Thank you so much, Tarun. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And yeah, let's keep having these conversations. I think you're doing a great job having these conversations with leaders because it's making them think, and that's what we need to do right now. So great job here.